Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Today we have a special guest with us again, Mr. Christopher Kirkpatrick, who is the CEO of Life 180. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, hey, good being
Uh,
back.
yes, it is. And Chris is also the general manager for Cashflow Hacken, which is a real estate investment fund. So
Yeah,
today, Chris is going to be enlightening us on how whole life is the perfect vehicle for many entrepreneurs, right? And so
I
he's
love
going
it.
to touch on the benefits of how that can benefit us as entrepreneurs and how not having life insurance is really hurting us
Mm,
as a business.
yeah.
Welcome, Chris.
Wow, it's awesome to be here. That is a loaded question. How much time do we have? So,
All day.
I truly believe entrepreneurs are unique, right? Like, so I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. The last time I had a W-2 job, I think I was 23 years old. So for the past 19 years, I've just run my own businesses and I've succeeded and failed and had more failures than successes. And you just learn through it all and hopefully get better and better as you go, right? That's
Yeah.
just part of the process. And I think we learn more in the failures than we learn in the wins, right? And I think
That is if we don't allow the failures to take us down.
that's true. That's true. But I'm a stubborn old man at the point in time with that stuff. So, but like here's the deal. I believe as entrepreneurs, well, yeah, let's just keep it on entrepreneur level or business owner level. The best investment you're ever going to make is in yourself, right? And I know that's a cliche statement, but the biggest problem that I see in this world, and I talk to thousands of people a year about their personal finances, and I do a lot of consulting with entrepreneurs on business structure, alignment, financial structure to enhance the growth of their business and strategy and stuff of that nature. And what I could tell you is like the biggest thing I see is the need for more free and clear cash flow to accomplish expansion and growth, and the need to have access to capital to invest and take advantage of opportunity when the timing is right. The need to increase the efficiency of their businesses and all these different things. The need to protect business partners, to make sure that this business that we're building is insulated, and that our business partners are protected. That if something happens to us, I'll just use an example for me, right? Like, so I'm the CEO of Life 180. I've got 3 business partners at Life 180. I've got hundreds of agents now that work with Life 180. We've got thousands of clients that are with Life 180. So as a CEO, as the face of the company, as the person who's responsible for training all the agents, as the person who's kind of doing all this content and kind of pushing everything forward, if I were to die, there are literally thousands of lives impacted, right? So what I look at is that, what can I do to make sure that the company keeps going? Because at the end of the day, if I die, I'm the sole breadwinner in my family, right? And for my wife and my 3 kids. So I need to have something to make sure that they get paid out, right? That the business doesn't instantaneously lose its value because of the fact that I'm the key to the success of this business. And now that it just goes through the floor, right? And
Mhm.
so, there's different ways that like utilizing a whole life insurance policy can impact your business. And the most obvious way is the fact that it's life insurance and there's a death benefit. And so for me to have a key person insurance policy on myself insulates my business partners because it gives them capital. So if something does happen to me, they can go hire somebody or partner with somebody or have the money to kind of weather the hardships or hire people on the back end to make sure that all the clients and the agents are supported or build new systems and all these different things. These are all things that have to be taken into account. And because of the fact that we think about it in this way, it makes me really proud to know that no matter whatever happens, like everybody that ever gets into a relationship with us as an agent or as a client is going to be taken care of, right? And so to me, that's a foundational core value of what and why we do what we do. And so then what we do is we go to other business owners. We talk like, this is something that if you believe in the longevity and long-term viability of your business and the impact and responsibility that you as the business owner and entrepreneur have, then this is something you need to contemplate, right? And I always say you got to align your money with your values and beliefs. And so I would really challenge you, do you value and believe in your business and yourself enough to actually look at it from a long-term view and the long-term impact that you bring to the table? Most
Right.
people just don't think like that long-term enough. And I really encourage people to do it. Now, a lot of people, okay, that doesn't matter as much to them. And let's say you are somebody who that doesn't matter that much to. Well, there's plenty of other reasons. I'm going to give an example. I'm just thinking of stories that are coming to my mind of people that I've talked to. I just had a conversation with a dentist the other day, right? He owns his own practice. And in that practice as a dentist, they're doctors, but they're entrepreneurs. And his thing was like, Chris, I'm really good at running my business, as a dentist, and I know my craft. I'm really good at what I do, but they don't teach you how to run a business in dental school, right? And so he's kind of an entrepreneur. I think chiropractors fall into this bit, other kinds of independent practicing doctors or, maybe counselors or, anybody that's kind of independent that went for a craft but then they go out on their own. They don't learn how to build a business or do all these things. So as a dentist, for example, they have to buy this equipment. They have literally sometimes $1 million+ in equipment. Some of
Mhm.
what he was telling me about this machine he had to buy, it was like $300,000 machine. And the interest rates on these things are 10, 11, 12, 13 plus percent, right? And so when you look at this stuff, if you finance it, there's a huge cost that goes along with that, and that can rip into your cash flow, all these different things. So utilizing whole life insurance, if you use it as a reserve account for your business or a capital account that you have access to cash that you can kind of have your own personal line of credit and you can take back that banking function, so to speak, and you can self-finance through your whole life policy.
Right.
It's a lot of people are like, oh, whole life doesn't have a great return. Well, but if I could show you how whole life is going to beat a bank account from a return perspective, how you could borrow against it, you're never going to interrupt the growth of the money in the policy. And rather than paying 10% to finance some of this equipment, you can lower that cost to 5.5% to 5% or something of that nature.
Absolutely.
There's real value in those numbers. And so the value of a whole life policy is going to vary based on the type of person you are, based on how you plan on utilizing the policy and kind of what your needs are for business. But, you know, I've worked with mechanics that need to buy equipment like car lifts and like all these big heavy duty, you know, things. I know nothing about car mechanics, but like all the big heavy duty equipment for that stuff, right? I've had plumbing companies that have used it to buy all their major equipment and vehicle fleets and stuff like that, because interest rates can get high from time to time. Right now, if you try to go buy a car, you're going to pay 8, 9% for auto rates.
Yeah.
If you could have this in a place and you have money sitting in an account, you could reduce that cost, get the tax write-offs for the interest expense, and never interrupt the growth of the money that you use to buy the cars in the first place. I know that sounds too good to be true through a certain lens if you've never seen this or looked into it, but it's exactly how it works, right? And so that's the power. Then you tap into the fact that like you get a lot of living benefits that come with it. You know, access to the cash value. You know, I've already talked about the death benefit, but I think one of my favorite functions of life insurance is the fact that if you become critically, chronically, or terminally ill, you have access to the death benefit while you're alive to pay for your medical treatment. I think having control of your medical directive is huge, especially once again as an entrepreneur. Health insurance is ridiculously expensive, right? Like and health insurance, pardon my language, but it sucks, you know, because they try to control what you can and can't do for your medical treatments. You know, I share the story a lot about my father-in-law, about the fact that on November 4th, 2020, he was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer with a 7.5 centimeter tumor that was on his pancreas, spread to his liver. The traditional oncologist gave him 3 months to live, 90 days, and they said the quality of his life would only be good for about 60 days. We went on a you know, won't take no for an answer kind of war path, and against this pancreatic cancer, which if you know anything about it, it's killing. It's one of the most deadly cancers in the world. And we found some of the world's leading specialists, and I'm not saying there's any guarantees everybody else is going to have the same result, but what I will say is if it weren't for access to capital through these policy type features of accelerating death benefits and being able to have that tax-free money to go and do whatever kind of treatment that we wanted, he wouldn't be here today, you know. And that's a super powerful story. He's still playing golf 4 days a week. I'm living in the Dominican Republic now because we got our investment fund, bought a hotel down here. He's actually coming in 2 weeks to come visit, you know, and see the grandkids and see our hotel for the first time. And like, this is all stuff when I think about it, he would have never seen, he would have never known. And the cool part is like, he grew up in the Northeast country of Vermont, in the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont, on a dirt floor, and he worked his butt off. And, you know, he was a huge mentor for the beginning of my career. And, you know, his whole life aspiration was to help elevate his family. And I know how much it means to him to see the success that me and his daughter are having. And he never would have been able to see it had he not had the ability to do all this, you know? And so.
And how long ago was that?
That was November 4th, 2020. So he's been almost 3 years now, almost 4 years now. And yeah, and so the doctors say he's going to die with cancer, but he's not going to die because of the cancer, because we've got it under control. Think about it. Right. So don't get me on my soapbox about like, you know, how most people treat cancer, but you know, it's a different story.
Yeah, that's a different story. We won't even go on that soapbox today.
Yeah.
So now in your beliefs then, how do you have an example that you could share with us of how an entrepreneur not having coverage can impact a business, your family? Yeah,
one that's probably way too close to home for me. I have a guy, he was my best friend, and I'm not gonna beat myself up too much because I wasn't licensed at the time. People that don't know my story, I gave up my license for a 6-year period. And during that time, I was telling him he needed to get life insurance because I knew his situation, and I couldn't really sell it to him, but I was definitely trying to coach him to get it. And he just kind of was like, no, I'm good. I got some through work. You know, I got some through this other company. I got some through this thing. And I was like, yeah, but it's not enough, man. You know, what happens if something happens to you? You know, you are the sole breadwinner. He's
Mm,
making like 300 grand a year. I'm like, if you don't have that, like think about all the things that you're looking to do with your side projects, you're expanding, you're taking on all this debt, all this liability.
mm,
That insurance is not going to be close to covering the liabilities you leave and everything that goes along with it. And this guy loved his family as much as anybody I've ever met, and yet, he just didn't see it,
mm,
and and so then I remember he and I would always meet like every day. Like he's my best friend in the world. And we'd meet every day for like an hour at the end of the day because we'd like pass the same place. We'd always stop off and like grab a margarita or something, like something cool. And then one day he sat down, he's like, Chris, I don't feel good. Like, and the next day he was like, same thing, same thing. Turned out he had a tooth infection that spread to becoming a heart infection,
mm,
and they needed to do emergency surgery on his aortic valve. And they scheduled an emergency surgery for 48 hours later. He went in, and then during that operation, he went into a coma, went to the Mayo Clinic, got helivaced to the Mayo Clinic, was in a coma for almost 60 days. He ended up surviving that, and then went through rehab, had to learn how to walk again, all the atrophy. And the day he was about to get released from rehab, he died of a brain bleed because of the blood thinners that he was on. And I had spent the whole time going and visiting him, helping him walk again, helping it like playing poker with him, just hanging out with him, helping his spirit, like all that stuff. And then that happened. And when he died, now his wife, they had to sell their house. His wife had to move into a small condo. Um, his daughter had no way to pay for college. She's got to pay
mm.
for it, get loans. And I just know like
Wow.
that's something I could have made an impact in his life, but I just didn't want to push. And so now that's why when people go, Chris, why do you really hammer people about this so much? Like,
Mm.
because I know the value and I've seen what happens
The impact.
when you think you're invincible. I mean, he was 51 years old, you
Mm.
know, you think you're invincible, you think nothing can happen to you, but tomorrow's not promised to anybody. And I think the world is changed and shaped by entrepreneurs. That's I know it is,
That.
right? And so I think as an entrepreneur, you have more responsibility. You have responsibility to your family, you have responsibility to your clients, you have responsibility to your communities, because your businesses and the things that you're doing, if you believe that they have an impact,
Yeah.
you have a responsibility to back that up.
Mm, mm.
So
Wow, thank you for that story. Um, that's very touching. I would say that, a lot of entrepreneurs are underinsured or not
oh yeah,
insured,
for sure. For sure.
and as you all heard the story, let this be an eye-opening for you as a business
Mhm.
owner, that you need the proper coverage, because your family is not going to be able to grieve the way they should.
No.
Your family might have to give up their home. So not only are they losing their parent or
Mhm.
their loved one, but now they're losing their home, their school, their
Mhm.
stability. Those are layers of
For
grief,
sure.
and so we just invite you to, like Chris said, plan, protect, because it is your responsibility. And God has placed us here to be his shepherd. And so if we are not doing that, we are not fulfilling our God-given rights.
And
So,
then
Chris, we thank you so much for joining us again. We
you
hope
got
to
it.
see you again this year sometime on our channel, but we know that you're living
Absolutely.
down there in paradise, so you
Well, you
might.
got to come visit.
Oh,
We're doing
that's
a whole. You got to get down here, April 24th. We're
Are you
doing a thing.
saying that's
Come
my
on down.
second home? Is that
I'm
what you're saying?
saying you're welcome anytime.
Amen, amen. All
Come
right.
on down. We'll do a video right here together in the same
Oh,
room.
that's a great
That'd
idea.
be fun. Let's do it.
All right, thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, we will see you all later.